We're getting into the top secret tactics here.
I think a lot of people are using it. I don't think it's super secret. I think the execution is the key. I don't think the formulas are the formulas are out there. I think it's how you do it.
All right, let's kick it off. Hey guys, my name is Javed Jameh. I'm the founder and CEO of Skipcard. We're the ones that are hosting this event. So this is the Growth Marketing Speaker Series. So David is going to talk about he's done a lot of stuff with Facebook ads, spent a lot of time in the direct-to-consumer area, especially around e-commerce, and he's going to talk about taking e-commerce sales from 0 to $1 million in 90 days. And so David's a growth marketer who's experienced in scaling revenue for direct-to-consumer brands. He's generated over $50 million in sales revenue for a series of portfolio companies, including Uber, Lyft, Candy Crush, Tracker, Pantyprop, Globin, Oracle, et cetera, et cetera. Currently founding member and head of growth at Fab Co-Creation Studio. His friends all call him the king of ROAS, return on advertising spend. That's his claim to fame. All right, big round of applause for David. You want me to change slides? Or
I can just hit the button or whatever.
Okay. There you go. Just use the right one.
All right, cool. All right. Cool. So I have a question here. How many people here actually are doing like direct to consumer or have a e-commerce store brand? Wow. Okay. I should see this side of the room. Okay, cool. So this is going to be mainly focused on creating a $1 million or a very high spending, high revenue generating campaign. When I say campaign, I interchange that with brand, product launch, what have you, right? So we're going to start with kind of the anatomy of a campaign, because a campaign has like a lot of different moving pieces. And we talk about the mind, body, and soul of a campaign. So there's like 4 things that I usually look at, and that goes into like unit economics, some really interesting stuff here. Not really. It's really boring. Creative testing, which is kind of what Mihir, or I don't know if I'm saying that right, is going to be speaking about as well. Landing pages that increase AOV, and media buying that will generate a lot of money. So this is kind of like what you guys will learn in this conversation, in this presentation. But enough about you guys. Let's talk about me. Why should you listen to me? Well, this is an outdated number, and these are outdated slides, I just realized. But I just generated a lot of money for a lot of different companies. And I did the same thing for my own brands. I pretty much walk the walk and talk it as well. And so I've done the same thing with my Shopify stores, and that's ad spend on the right-hand side. But I've been where you guys are right now. Either you guys are like launching a startup, or you're kind of in a product phase right now trying to get customers, or you are scaling but you don't have very good unit economics or ROAS. I've had the same issues. I'm going to go over like one of my first campaigns. It's called Fizzy. It's like a bath bomb company. So we did like themed bath bombs. And so you can kind of see the economics here. And I'm going to go into like in depth like each of these slides. I want to go over like, so this is my first campaign. How many of you guys have modeled your products or your brands before launching? Just 1 or 2. Of course, yes. So this is imperative. Now I'm going to go into a lot of this stuff, but this is kind of how I think about it. These are my economics for my first brand. Here's like an example of a landing page that is optimized for my first campaign. It was just, themed bath bombs, right? So it was kind of like this is like a Harry Potter theme. There's quite other themes as well. Here's like my Facebook ad creative. Very viral, very much a video. So you're gonna start to get to see like what we're doing here. And my ads manager, right? So I I'm gonna be going over like how I structure campaigns, how I structure ads managers, so you guys can make sure you guys are spending your dollars wisely. So how do you guys make that money, right? So how do you guys generate revenue? Let's go over unit economics here. So this is kind of like everybody needs to know their numbers, right? So industry standard numbers, knowing what you're going to get, the unknown variables, right? So your landing page conversion rate for cold traffic, right? Your CPMs on most audiences on Facebook, your general click-through rates on ads or video ads that, if they're good, you'll usually get, your CPAs. Now this is like for different price products. Most people with good ads will get these ROAS. These are just industry numbers that I know by heart, and then you can kind of work your way backward as to whether your ad spend or your brand is actually going to make money, right? Or whether it's even worth launching it if you don't get these numbers, right? And that's including like gross margin. These are like kind of the industry, like, I guess assumptions nobody really talks about. And obviously you have like high price points, low price points, right? So with low price points, you have less persuasion, more like, impulse buys. That's usually under $30. High price points, usually more persuasion, more pre-landers, more content, etc. So I have like this model that I give out to people that I've mentored, but here's like the first slide. Usually you go into your costing model, and you want your unit economics to be forgiving, right? So the reason why I say forgiving is that you're not going to hit 3x ROAS on your ad spend. You're not going to get a 4x or 4% conversion rate on your page. So if you just underestimate what you're really going to get, then you can kind of model out kind of like what your cost of goods are for products, what your take rate is on your first unit price or follow-up unit prices. So if you're going to be offering like a continuity or like a subscription, you guys can model it this way, right? So these are like the assumptions on a unit economics model that I usually, this is like the first slide. And then these two numbers down here, ROAS and break-even ROAS, right? You should know how much you can spend and what your return is to break even, right? So most people don't know their break-even ROAS. Actually, let me ask, like how many people know their break-even ROAS in this room? It's like one, sort of, right? Of course, you guys do, sort of, right? So again, like, small, very small, I guess subset here. So it's very important to like boil down everything into the one thing that matters, at least for the ad spend. Modeling, again, your customers, whether it's continuity or not, having, a cohort-based approach where you take your initial customers, and this is for a subscription business, obviously, this is what Fizzy was, and then kind of modeling out, what your churn is going to be over time, how many new customers you need at the top. And then, the correlating revenues, right, for each of these customers. So you can get to see, like, at what point you're going to be making money and what point you're not. And then, obviously, the actual P&L, right? So this is probably the most important part of your business model. Before you run any ads, you should be looking at this, right? You should be knowing what your advertising CPA is going to be in terms of, like, total ad spend, revenue you're going to generate, your cost of goods with shipping and handling, your chargeback support, your operating margin. These are all very, very important because if you model it the right way, you can always launch a successful campaign. Through this, you can now understand how to launch ads and how to get high return on ad spend on ads. So here's some examples of high converting ads that I've launched, right? So as you can see, a little bit tailored toward, women here, right? Maybe some men use curling irons, but not very likely, right? So, you know, we have like 2 sets of ads that I've ran, and over a large, I guess, over a large number of ad spend. Oh, here's another example as well. And I'm going to go over like the formula real quick on this slide, but they're all kind of similar in their copy, their headlines, their the video. I'm not going to play the videos; it takes a while. But this is kind of like the winning video format, right? And I've spent a lot of money trying to figure this out. So this is kind of what it looks like. There's obviously a hook. It's the first 5 seconds. So as you know, on average, most people spend about 5 seconds, maybe less, making like watching an ad, or at least a good one before they drop off. So you want to make sure, you know, the first 5 seconds are the most important. And what I usually do is I usually show like customers like showing some kind of extreme emotion, whether it's crying, whether it's extreme happiness, elation, etc. Press hooks, like something kind of out there, right? So I want something that makes the user, it's called a pattern interrupt, right? They're going to their news feed, and then all of a sudden they see something that they usually wouldn't, right? So most ad images, you'll notice like an eye looking back at you, or a person's face looking back at you. Something weird usually stands out, but in this case, extreme emotions, especially for brands, that's kind of what I lead with. Then I go into, you know, why it's unique. So then explaining your unique value proposition, right? So going into like, you know, what makes this different, what makes your product special, right? So so if it's like a makeup brand, right? And so one of the brands I used to work for, they had like food grade makeup. So it's makeup, so organic, you can eat it, right? So that's unique value proposition. That's something we said, 0 waste, great for the earth. And that was something that really stood out. And then showing what they get, right? Receiving, unboxing, pulling out the items, lifestyle shots of people using it, so that they have the immediate like gratification of putting themselves in the user's positions that they see in the video and saying, oh, I might be able to do this. And then showing the creator and founder. So a lot of the products nowadays, a lot of companies, they care, a lot of customers care about who makes the product, whereas before they didn't. Now customers care about transparency. They care about the person behind the actual product. So it's called founder market fit. I don't know what they call it in like B2B land, but showing the actual founder making the product, talking about the product in the laboratory, in the dev shop, whatever it is, humanizes the entire thing. And then the testimonial or call to action, right? So having somebody actually talk about who's used it, saying like, try it now. It's done so much good stuff for me, right? So that's kind of like the winning format. 30 seconds max, usually the standard. A lot of people want to do influencers, right? So I've done a lot of influencer videos. So here's the influencer video format template that I've seen convert. So usually what I have my influencers do is I write scripts based off of these tech talking points. They make it, and I can just run it straight on social. And most of the time it converts very well if they've done a good job. So again, starting from the top, elation. I love this product so much. Showing interest about what it is. Show the product that it's used for. So how they use it in a lifestyle, how they use it day to day. Then they'd go and talk about the benefits. Oh, like I was running this is like a corset line or women's shapewear. She said, it sucks you up. It gives me such a beautiful shape. There's plenty of stretch, right? So she was talking about that as she was showing it off. She was using it, and she was telling her little hacks or tips about how she actually used the product to make it way better than what it was advertised on the page. Because a lot of people resonate with that, and then obviously before and afters, if you can. Now, most people can do before and afters, but they don't think about it. They think, oh, it's just for skin cream, or if it's for weight loss or muscle gain. But you can do it for a lot of stuff. Usually it's about the emotion that you want your customers to feel after they have the product, and how they don't feel that emotion before, when they don't have the product, right? So that's very important. Once you have these videos, there's a way to test them, right? So when you're doing like Facebook ads or you're launching an ad, you have to make sure, so I have a very specific methodology. So you can't just create a video and then launch for $100 a day or $50 a day. There's no rhyme or reason to that. You're going to spend a lot of money and you're going to like burn your ad spend. So what you want to do is you want to create the video and test it at $5 a day, right? And on a page post engagement, right? And you can do this on Snapchat, Facebook, Instagram. They all have the same stuff. But your goal is to see if your CTR is over 2% under page post engagement and video views, and it has at least 4,000 impressions. And if you look downstream, it has about 5% add to carts, right? So that's the goal. If you can achieve that goal on your first creative ad, then you know that it has the potential to win. So if you know that, you will then promote. You'll promote your ad to a testing campaign where you will then take that to gain more social proof and credibility. You'll upgrade it or promote it to a new campaign. You'll create another one, a small $10 per ad set for all the initial winners, put it in a creative testing, and have it warm up. Once it's warm, then you want to upgrade it into your scaling campaign. And I'll go over kind of like the scaling and media buying methodology at the end, or towards the end of the presentation. What's up?
Sure. What is the objective of those campaigns? Like, do you do just the traffic conversions, or what is the goal?
For creative testing, it's just engagement. Yeah, because you want to see if people are actually just on the creative. You want to make sure that these people, and you're prospecting here as well. These aren't warm audiences or anything. So you want to make sure that they're engaged, and then once they engage, see what their user behavior is once they get to your landing page. So if you notice that people who are just engaged and then they don't actually go to your website and they don't add to cart or whatever your like indicator is, then you know that the ad doesn't work or the messaging in the ad doesn't work. But if they engage and they have a 5% either like, view lead or view webinar, etc., right? Sure.
So in the follow-up rounds of the testing, are you retargeting the ones that were engaging, the engagers, or you're still keeping the initial audience that you were targeting?
Right. It's a great question. I'm going to literally be talking about that at the end of this. That's fantastic. Yeah. So I will go over like hot, warm, cold, existing, like how I do that, and how I split it up. That's great. It's a great question. So landing pages, right? So I'm going to go over like every single experiment that I've done that has been successful, that has generated more money for every single brand or client or my own brands. So a lot of people don't use this, but bundling, just please bundle everything. Users, like right here, right? Usually people put like a +1, +2. It's like a little, counter. Instead, give them the option to bundle on the actual product page, because once you introduce this, average order value goes through the roof. Like 30% of people take this, 10% of people take this, and a majority take this, when on average, 90 to almost 100 take this if you don't have these three options, right? So think of like a SaaS pricing page. You have 3 tiers, You can just put these 3 tiers like right here, and you can put like a little tag here that says best value, right? So again, you want to put these. So they did a great job. When people add your products to your cart, you want to make sure you give them the option of, getting the bundle on the add to cart. So once they add to cart, you give them this screen here, and you give them the discount here to get the bundle together, right? Another option. So again, when we introduced this, it just like jacked up our AOV. Again, so I'm using Fizzy a lot because a lot of people don't do this very well, but run all of your traffic. So if you have like a store with multiple SKUs, run all of your traffic to a collection page. Don't run it to a specific product, even if the ad is about that product. or into a collection page, and design your collection pages, right? So actually put like branding on some parts, like quotes, like testimonials, reviews on the collection page, because most people, they'll click the ad because they like the idea behind the brand, or they like something about the image you don't know. But then you give them a large opportunity to actually buy something that they like, right? So likelihood of conversion actually goes through the roof once you introduce. I think about 2.5% more people convert from a collection page than an actual product detail page. So just remember that for any type of campaign you guys are launching, and make sure you design it. And make sure you put reviews, visual reviews, not text reviews. So use the Looks app. You know, if you guys aren't using product reviews, visually, you guys are losing a lot of conversion points, because this is a lot more persuasive. You can get pictures, especially low fidelity pictures work the best because it shows the realism of the actual product. Shows, you know, lifestyle. People understand like why you're buying it, right? So I helped like one of these brands. This is called Globin. Just by adding the visual reviews component to their product pages or their collection pages, again, conversion rate and AOV went through the roof. This is like the Looks app if you use Shopify. If you don't, then I'm sure there's tons for WooCommerce. Make sure you tag. So nobody does this. So these tags right here are very, very important. When you have multiple SKUs, you want to make discovery easy. So what people do on Google, Pinterest, etc., they type in keywords and then they get results. That same behavior is what they do on your e-commerce store. So if you tag your products so that when they type those keywords into search, you're actually encouraging discovery, which then gives them the ability to add products that they usually wouldn't have discovered. Again, this is for stores with over like 5 to 10 SKUs, right? So which is a couple pages in dwell time. Make your product pages an advertorial. So this goes for like SaaS companies as well. On the actual product page, don't think of it as like a description. Think of it as an advertorial. If you guys don't know what advertorial is, think of like it's any like sponsored article on like a blog or like press. Like BuzzFeed talks about why some vitamins are the best or something like that, or like what shampoo is the best. You want to have like a headline that's very persuasive about like what the product actually does. Go into like, you know, talk about like before and afters. This is one of my, this is a Pearl, it's teeth whitening brand. Go into like the user benefits, the story. Pretend like you're an actual journalist reporting about the product, rather than just writing, oh, this is, you know, pants that are stretch. You know, give some actual like GIFs. You know, talk about headlines. You know, talk about the benefits. Because if you don't, you know, conversion points again. Here's some headline help. I know I'm not sure everybody's a persuasive person or not, but kind of boiled it down to like these 5 tips. Take a picture. We're not going to go into like too much detail, but just make sure that your headline is a fast and easy way to get your readers their solution, right, in a believable way, right? So they could have said like, in this one, again, this is kind of unbelievable. It's like 2 minutes. Get whiter teeth in 2 minutes. It's kind of unbelievable, but they can back it up. But what if they said in like 20 seconds, right? Like, again, you want to make it believable, and you want to get the end result to your user in the fastest way possible. You know, if you can tie it to a news headline, so like, you know, the first teeth whitening pen to, you know, make your teeth whiter in 2 minutes, right? That would be better. But they're not the world's first. Okay, so checkout pages. So, you know, so I put predictably irrational for a reason. If you're using Shopify or any checkout where people are going to buy, please make sure you have these 2 things here: reservation and the fact that something in their item or their cart is hot. This is going to increase conversion rate by itself, just because people are going to feel good about it. Because you have to remind them that when they're going to take the plunge, that you're not going to scam their credit card, and that you're not going to send them something that's going to be broken. Yo, hello? Yeah, so this is going to encourage people to make that impulse or purchase. Knowing this, it gives them confidence that this is okay, so that they'll actually purchase. Again, don't use standard checkout pages. I see this all the time. People are, you know, developing these really very elaborate stores, and then when they get to their checkout page, I mean, there's none of this. It's just the standard checkout, right? So it's like, you know, you're losing a lot of money just by not putting, actually leaving money on the table, right? You're not losing it by not putting these things onto the checkout page. So this is something a little bit more applicable to everybody, media buying, right? So how do you buy profitable media? Here's kind of the breakdown of campaigns, and this is how I do it, right? So the goal is to increase buying temperature, right? And this is the buying temperature. It's cold, warm, hot. And this is like fuego. This is like customers, right? This is how you structure your campaigns, right? You literally will name your campaign name cold in Facebook ads. Another campaign name will be warm, right? Like, I'm not joking. I'm going to show you guys an example. The type for, you know, so for cold, it's awareness, like we spoke about, right? Getting people to engage in the actual video ad, right? So the creative is a video ad. You place it only on mobile because mobile has more engagement. 80% of most online sales is about 60, I think, usually on mobile. For the cold audience, you want to do, you know, interest targeting lookalikes, if you scraped any audiences, and broad targeting, right? Just to get people to engage. Then you have your warm campaign, right? And that's dwell time, right? So that's kind of what I was mentioning before, which is people engaging, right? Or interacting with the ad. You have add to cart, retargeting, customers. Actually, I realized I actually go into all this stuff here. So cold is ice. That's the cold. People who aren't aware of your brand, get them to watch your video for items less than $39.99. They will buy. You don't need to really, you know, get them to engage. People will usually buy anything over 40. You need to increase their buying temperature, and that's what the cold awareness ad is. Lukewarm. So the warm audience are those that have watched your video, liked your fan page, or engaged with you guys in some way. The goal is for them is they are interested, but you don't know how interested they are because they didn't really click onto the actual page. So you can target them with other persuasive elements like influencer reviews, unboxing videos, benefits of the product that you guys are running. So it'll handle objections and essentially raise their buying temperature. Again, this requires a little bit of, like, I guess, buying psychology in your target customer, but if you know some of the objections, show them the ads. They will convert. And then hot, so these hot audiences are those that have visited the site, kind of like your standard retargeting, right? They visited the site, added a cart, initiate checkout, etc. Get them back into the site. Usually with more direct sales effort, usually with discounts, right? Or like last minute stuff. And then, you know, your fuego, your customers, your existing customers, these are existing customers. Now, if you ever get a drop shipping business, like, you're not going to get repeat customers, but if you have a good product, if you have a good service, if your stuff comes on time and not from China, then why not get them back to buy more, right? So these, you can use video ads or product creatives to target people to buy more stuff. And if you use Shopify, it saves their credit card information, so they don't even need to put it again. So usually you get like pretty insane ROAS on this audience here. And the final slide is the analysis part, right? So everybody should have this if they're a direct consumer company, and that's basically ad level attribution, right? So again, if you're spending a lot of money, you want to make sure that you know which ad is bringing you what ROAS and essentially what conversion rate and how much revenue. Because the problem is people will stop and prune campaigns at an ad set level or a campaign level. We want to be at the ad level when we turn things off, because ads are what eventually are going to be, you know, giving you guys a return on ad spend. If you notice, this is a day-by-day kind of like progression. So you can see how upping your budget, lowering your budget correlates with your add to carts going down, your ROAS going down, going up, your conversion rate going up or down. It's a strong indicator of whether you guys are approaching like a cold audience, whether you're reaching for your audience. Facebook is like kind of like spending your money frivolously, right? So this is like, again, a majority of where you'll be spending your time, you know, when you guys are launching your first campaign. So aside from that, you guys should go and scale. So got some questions. All right. Thanks.
How do you manage ad level day-to-day sort of ad management? So in the sense, yes, you spend that money, you've seen conversions coming through. Let's say you have a budget of, I have a budget of $400,000 per month on something like Facebook, and I have a couple of hundred ads that I run, maybe more.
It's great.
It becomes just a massively difficult process to go ad by ad on a day-by-day basis.
Exactly. Yeah, so that's a great question. So he said he has like $500,000 of budget to spend on Facebook. And with that much advertising, ads, hundreds of ads, it's hard to manage. So I didn't go into like, I have like this whole automated rules system that I've built on RevealBot. Have you heard of RevealBot? Basically, RevealBot hooks up into your Facebook Ads Manager, and you can set automated rules. And that pretty much does everything for me. Because at $500,000, and I spend usually like 30 to 50 grand a day, there's no way that you're going to manage that. And I have media buyers too, and they mess up all the time. They let ads run, and they lose money. So RevealBot, if you want to use that, and there's a whole, like I can send like a bunch of automated rules, etc. I'm sure, have you seen the automated functionality on Facebook ads? It's not that great, but yeah. So you just want to use RevealBot. It's going to be your best bet. That's a great question. Anybody else?
So walk me through like how you kill something, right? When you see something and you go, that's not working. You had the initial sort of warming phase. Like I don't know what kind of conversion rates I'm going to have. Like we're brand new. It's a B2B company, so I know we have a bunch of stuff that hasn't worked, right? So like, how long do you let it run before you go, yeah, it's not.
Right. That's a great question too. So if you're optimizing, or are you optimizing for convert for lead, or is it? It's
a SaaS.
Sign up.
I'm trying to sign people up. Yeah.
Sign up. Great. So what you usually do is you look at your cost per sign up event, right? So usually what I do is I look at it on a 3-day. So 1 day, 3 day, 7 day, right? So yeah, so it's kind of familiar. So looking at 7 days, see how it's performing. Then look at it in a 3 days, see how it's performing in a 1 day. And if all 3 of those are bad, turn it off. They should not be, because if you spend 7 days and losing money, that's really bad, right? Yeah. So if the 7 days positive, which it usually is, the 3 days positive, and the 1 day is bad, keep it on, right? If the 7 days good, the 3 days bad, the 1 day is good, keep the 1 day, and then see how it performs the next day, right? And if somehow the 7, 3, and 1 is like 7's good, but the 3 and 1 are bad, turn it off, turn it on the next day again. Usually Facebook will then reprioritize your budget, and it'll test a new audience. And usually it'll 20% of the time, maybe more, it'll start to convert again. So that's kind of how I do it.
And how many tests? Sorry. And like how many tests do you run? Are you running 5, 10, 100? Like what's the sort of, I don't know if statistically valid, but like
what's the cadence of the media buying?
Right? What if I was running 10, would you go, ooh, that's too small or too many, or 20?
Like 10 ads?
Yeah, like okay. 10 if I'm experimenting, like what's that look like?
Yeah, so 10 is on the low end. So usually if for signups, right? So usually for like a SaaS company, right? You're trying to sign people up. You have many different benefit statements, right? So you want to make like at least 5 ads per benefit statement, right? So if it's like your landing pages convert better than other people's landing pages, try our software, right? So that's one benefit, right? 5 different videos. Or actually, are you running video or static image or?
Right now it's just static image. But
Right. So if it's images, you should be doing a lot more headline and image testing, because you don't know what's going to resonate with your target demo or your audience that you're targeting, right? Because that's kind of the name of the game with headline testing, right? Which is basically your feature, your benefit. So I'd say like again 5 to 1 per, and then turning them all off. 5 new ones, turning them all off, right? So hopefully that helps.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Do you have any rules of thumb for how many different videos you should make for a campaign, and how much you should spend on, like, total on video content?
Sure. Spend on Facebook ads or spend making the video?
Making the video.
Oh yeah, so that's a great question, which I know we're gonna address here. Yeah, so how I usually do it is, it depends who's creating your assets. Do you have assets that you've already have created or no, right? And if this is like, let's say it's a direct-to-consumer product or, right. So usually what I would do is I would spend the majority of my money getting real people, so like influencers, etc., to make video, iPhone video. That's it, right? And then, is it different? Oh, that's great. Yeah. So I was like, oh, interesting. I've learned something then. So getting your influencers to make the video, and then get your assets back, and then you can hire like from low-cost countries. Like they have great video editors, and have them create like a ad template. And I'm sure you're gonna go over that. So so I would say like the video for me costs like usually I give influencers the product for free, and they'll make the video for free, right? So usually I spend like $100, right, on a video and videos. So like I get a bunch of product. I got a bunch of product videos. Then I get my video guy in Ukraine to like crank out a bunch of different versions. I give them like the template. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, that's helpful.
All right, cool. For the video ads, I mean, usually my video ROAS are like, it just depends on the product. Usually it's like 3, 4, depending on like a lower price product. And if it's a higher price product, then it goes, well, and it depends on my scale. So if I'm spending like $5,000 a day, it'll be in like the 2-ish, 1.8 to 2.4. And if it's like on the lower spend, like $1,000, then it's like more on like the 3, 4, 5. Technically, but you make more eventually. I'll go for volume of revenue.
Yeah, I found it Synthetically, and also the YouTube guys you guys had here for the YouTube creative team. They said actually like spending less and then A/B testing atomically is way higher ROI. So I think a lot of people push it, and I've done major campaigns as a 500 guy, and it's actually better to modulate because you can get actually high return and high ROI 3 to 5.
Yeah.
In the edge cases, and actually the people you want to get on kind of like the long tail.
Right. Of course. Yeah. So you do see as you scale, you get penalized CPM wise, and yeah, and then your ROAS goes down. But again, it's what the customer wants or what you want, right? So.
Hi, it sounds like most of the traffic's coming from Facebook and Instagram, and then using remarketing. Are you remarketing off those platforms and using like Google remarketing or Credeo or whatever? Like, just talk a bit about the remarketing side.
Oh yeah, so yeah, for GDN or Google, I only use a retargeting for display network. Yeah, so that's a great point. Credeo is what you were talking about, right? A few of my friends have used them. I haven't really had that much experience using them. I usually do all my stuff through, I do some sophisticated stuff through like in-app retargeting as well. So they see my ads when they're in certain apps, right? So it's like through AdMob or MoPub. But Google Display is the best for remarketing. I wouldn't actually prospect on there because it's some really weird targeting. You get low quality traffic, right? But if you have like a pretty solid funnel, I would do prospecting. But yeah, exactly.
campaigns and then scale them if they really do well and go deeper on the narrative.
100%. Yeah.
What do you think about them stopping the sharing? Has it seen lower conversions after they kind of cut off sharing to Twitter and other places easily?
It just depends.
Auto
So,
sharing, where it auto posts.
sharing the ad video, correct? Yeah. Let me think. It just depends. What I've seen when I've done some Indiegogo campaigns where I did primarily YouTube. We got great ROAS on YouTube ads, but the share, I don't know. I don't see anything different about them stopping and sharing though. But I guess it might go down. I'm not sure, but I do know it's a great way to get your ROAS up if you are trying to diversify your traffic sources, right? Actually, it's cheaper too, right? So if you go, how many people have done YouTube video ads here? I mean, right? So I guess it just depends on whether you want to diversify your traffic sources, but I've seen it kind of work, right? But the shares aren't, I don't know too much about that.
Do you have any experience with messenger bots? I mean, taking people from the ads not to the actual landing page, but actually to the messenger bot?
It's fantastic. Right now it's fantastic. It's probably going to get saturated soon, right? So what people have been doing is they're hiding the auto opt-in box on websites. So Facebook's cracking down on add to messenger directly. So it's I don't know if they updated their policy. I don't know if you heard about it, but if you go directly from an ad to a messenger campaign, they will eventually disapprove your ad because they don't want that to automatically happen, especially on large ad spends. So one of my funnels, I was running, an ad unit that would, if they message or if they clicked or if they interacted, they would go through my messenger. They'd get a ManyChat pop up, and then over a couple $1,000s to spend, it was disapproved, right? So what you want to do is either delay your messages, or in this case, get them to your product page, get them to opt into your messenger funnel that way. But it's fantastic.
And
which one? So Zyral. Zyral, if you want to check that out. That's fantastic. All right, cool. Well, I use ManyChat. Zyral probably has a different strategy as well.
Collectively, what's the average frequency that you target across those multiple campaigns that proves very effective? Or do you do any frequency capping at all?
Yes, I do. That's where I turn ads off and ads on based off frequency capping, or I'll start rotating different creatives. Usually for retargeting, I actually like to be on the higher side. I like to do a 3. I like to really make sure they've seen the ad, and then I turn it off. Because usually what happens over time, you get a lot of the social proof on the ad. So for me, it's kind of hard to turn ad off, right? So I like to get to a 3. Most people do 2, 2.5. I hit 3. And if it's the ROAS are still there, I'll just keep the ad on, even if it's 4 or 5, right? Plus I do 1 day, 5 day content retargeting. So it's view content or add to cart. So constantly, it's generating more more users or people in the audience, right, as I scale my ad spend. So then, your frequency goes up and down day by day.
Got it.
So you have 3. It just depends on whether your ad's still making some good ROAS, right?
And does sequencing help? We have experimented with sequencing there, especially for benefits. So how do you manage frequency there? So do you manage it at a campaign level or at an individual ad level?
An ad level, yes, ad level. Exactly. Always at an ad level, because then I know which ads are going to be eventually going to die. Right.
So around 3 per ad is a frequency cap.
Exactly.
Got it. Thank you.
Any more? All right. One more?
What's the biggest pain point, and how many people feel like the lack of truth from Facebook about video views has made me shit on their platform?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
I mean,
Number one.
Is it really ROI? Instagram Live is, but I mean, is Facebook really ROI? Because we can't tell what the truth is.
You can't.
They don't even tell us, I had a problem today where literally in Messenger, all of a sudden all my actual contacts disappeared and came back. And I'm like, am I have to go down and see Zuck? Well, no. And they're like, what the fuck? Whose server are you giving my passwords to? Like, I mean, like, I can't even trust it. They don't even make the page when you reload it in the web view. Add the counter. At least they could lie to us good.
Right. Yeah, if you're paying for it, they should just give you a number, right? But
I mean, they should actually like lie good, like social media guys, lie good about it. They're even good at that.
right.
I mean, it's good ROI, and they got this segmenting, but it's got better. The question is whether you're going to drop it on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Even in some cases, for like smaller teams, I've noticed about what used to be YouTube is now TikTok, and some things for filters, geospace, etc.
Right. Yeah, I mean, each platform has its own like nuances. LinkedIn videos. Anybody has? I think the BAMF guys. I think they kind of ruined it for everybody. So, they kind of like they clamped it down. So they kind of like made the Bible so everyone's doing the same stuff. So now LinkedIn's getting smarter.
All right. Thank you. That was great. Awesome. All right. That was well worth the free ticket to get all that. We're going to pass around a collection jar, collect some money for that awesome free advice. Yeah, thank you. Are you going to head out? You're going to hang out? Okay. All right. Okay. We'll share out the
my email or something.
Yeah, we'll share out your contact information with the registration. All right. Awesome. Thanks. So next we have Mihir. So he's the director of growth at Keap, and he's going to talk about scaling growth using video advertising on social media. So there's a lot of overlap on this, I'm sure, but different, coming at it from a different angle. So Mihir is a business leader experienced in driving scalable growth in fintech and SaaS companies. He has a combination of enterprise and startup experience in building teams and driving demand gen, customer retention, marketing, sales, and analytics. Mihir has a thorough understanding of marketing, finance, and sales, and expertise in building and running marketplaces and SaaS products. And he's told me he's doing a ton of stuff with video marketing, and so he's going to share some of those insights with us. Do you need to plug in your laptop now?
Yeah. Thank you all. I'm Mihir Korke. As Javed pointed out, I run growth at a company called Keap. It was previously called Infusionsoft. We just did a massive rebranding about a month and a half ago and changed our name to Keap. Give you a little background about myself. Why do you want to believe me that I can tell you a story here and help you, run your marketing using videos? So about me, I love outdoors. I just came back from a week-long hike in Utah. Spent about, walked for about 100 miles in about 6 days. Pretty strenuous, tiring, but got to see about 6 national parks in a week, which was crazy.
Do you want to sit down and do this talk? You're good?
That's why, Javed was trying to reach out to me and I was not responding, and he's like, where the hell is this guy? But I was completely out of reach. I do believe in data, but I also believe in magic, and there's a lot of magic in videos. There's a lot of unknowns that you don't know. You can probably predict that your campaigns are gonna give you 2x ROAS or 3x ROAS, but what's the fine element behind that that's gonna drive it? I believe in humility and the power of listening. I think I've listened to I have a team of about 10 people that help me run my marketing at Keap, and it's just because of them that I can get things done. I have about 19 years in experience in analytics and marketing. I've spent almost 15 years in financial services, selling credit cards, loans, and software, all sorts of things. And I've run marketing for about 4 startups, 1 enterprise company, raised funding about 2 years ago, and I've sold 1 company in the past. So many more mistakes made, a lot of lessons learned here. So this is kind of the agenda that I have for today. I didn't start video marketing long ago. It was, I've done a lot of static ads on Facebook all through, I would say, 2017. And 2017 was one of the first experiments that I, started running in video. And 2018 essentially is when I started using it and scaling it up significantly. To the point that Facebook actually said, well, let's make a case study on you guys and see how you guys have scaled it. So I'll present what they've written about me, and then I'm going to talk about how to make these video ads in less than 1,000. But I think you could make them in less than $100. It depends on who you use and what you do with it. How you should test and iterate those videos, and then how do you build sort of a life cycle engine. The company I work for sells software. It sells software to small businesses. Majority of our customers are they're entrepreneurs. They are running their own company. They're running maybe a service that they are selling to other, consumers and so on. So they are more like consumers. They are not as big as large businesses. So I'm not selling software to enterprises here. So I'm just going to give you a brief timeline. I hope you can start, you can look at it. This is a story about what I was doing, in 2017 and 18. Until June of 2018, I think, we were doing pretty well on Facebook, and then suddenly we saw things really slow down. We were doing all sorts of static ads. We were testing about, I would say, at least 10 to 12 ads a week, if not more. And, we were just not getting the growth that we were looking for. I mean, my growth targets month over month were around 15%, and I was barely getting 4 or 5% growth month over month using static ads. And so we were doing dynamic testing. We were testing 10 different creatives with 10 different messages, all sorts of permutations there, and it just wasn't just delivering anything. We tried animated ads, that didn't work either. And so, my team and I sat down and we just said, well, let's figure out. I mean, everybody's doing video and we are the only ones sitting on the sidelines and not really experimenting with it. How can we just quickly come up with a concept in less than a month and take it out? And so, we created a campaign called Break Up with Old Habits. So we are selling software. People are using our software, but they are still they're stuck with their old habits of doing things manually. So let's take them off that. Let's create a full-fledged campaign. So we created our video ads and we threw them out on Facebook, YouTube. We had the same concept, and our landing pages were exactly matching what we were trying to do with our campaign. So we developed a series of ads and landing pages. And then in August, we launched sort of the second variation of that same test, again with a series of video ads and landing pages. And then in January is when we sort of took it full-fledgedly in a big way. So there I engaged a big agency, spent $200,000, created a great campaign out of it. And then, using that, I brought my costs down even further. But I'm going to go through a few actual videos. They are quite entertaining. And so, I don't know, I mean, do all of you guys want to watch it? Right. All right, so this all right, I think it's going in a loop. So this was the first ad we did. I wrote the ad copy. Literally was done using a digital SLR, nothing more than that. That's what Javed had. The background is we had a wallpaper stuck on a wall in a room in our office. She's Natalie. She works with me. She runs majority of our influencer campaigns. She has great presence on camera. She knows what to do. She herself has a Facebook channel with almost 2 million subscribers. And so she's like, well, I'll take part. I'll be the person in the video. That video helped us bring our cost per lead from where, our cost per lead was sitting at around $45. That video brought it down to about $16 in a matter of 2 days. And we could test for 7 days, but you could, if there's a real winner, you don't have to wait 7 days to figure it out. You'll probably know about the winner in a day or two. And so this one has 1.4 million views.
Wow.
That went just viral. I think. And then this was sort of a follow-up to that. A little bit more here. Yeah. So that's a 40-second video. So majority of our videos are usually about 15 to 40 seconds, 30 seconds. I think that's sort of the magic number there. I have about 6 videos there. I won't go through all of them. I think I'll send the deck. Here's actually the last video we did, which was completely done using a professional agency. And this is a 90-second video, but that has about 1.9 million views. That went viral, and that brought my cost per lead down even further to about $12 a lead. So, but this, I spent about $200,000 making that.
Wow.
What's your overall spend per year? What's my spend per year? On Facebook, I spend about $3 million, 3 to 3.5. I generate about $8 to $10 million in business using my spend here. So that's, yeah. So Facebook brings in about, we are about $130 million. I have a run rate of about $12 million a month. Facebook brings in anywhere from $1.5 to $2 million. About 3 to 4 is my ROAS. Cool. I won't go through the whole video, but this is sort of.
Sorry, hold on one second. If we could just all talk into this because we're recording it, and then it has all these silences.
So you said it went viral. Like, how does that happen? Like,
how does that happen?
Like, I understand sort of roughly. I'm not that old, but like, how does an ad? Like, is there an influencer that pushes it? Is like, do you pay people in China to push it? Like, how does that work?
None of these are influencers. Of course, we and I won't spend my entire budget on this ad. This is one of the 8 or 10 ads that I would run at any point of time. So any given month, maybe there's about $50,000-$60,000 spent on one of these ads. I think it's just the content. Frankly, I think the content and who you target. And I'll talk a little bit about how do you sort of create a feedback loop there, because it needs to resonate with the people who want to buy, and that's where. And then you need to understand what their psyche looks like, and then you send that video to them. And if you don't understand your customer and what they care about, what their pain points are, what is the value proposition that attests to that pain point, then you don't get it viral. So I think there's a whole sequence of other things when it comes to sort of writing copy, figuring out how that copy then goes and attests the value prop for your product, and then who should you target with your audience. So I mean, all of these videos, I would say, they've at least got a million or more views in a matter of literally a month and a half. I'll talk about the formula. So when we rolled out this first video, our cost per lead at least went down by 70%. We got about 67% more leads. Obviously, we kept the budget the same. And then our reach was high, but the biggest win for me was that we got more customers in the door. Why should you try video? I think like David pointed out, I think majority of people browsing for any sort of product today are looking at videos more than they're looking at a static ad. Static ads are, I think of the past. I don't do static ads anymore. Very few times I would probably do them, and I'll most likely do some animation around it. The reason for that is it's a 15 or 30 second format, and in that 15 or 30 second format, you are conveying way more information than what you would in a static image, way more. And it's engaging. I think, as David pointed out, it's like you're browsing through your news feed. Static ad is going to get passed on, whereas a video ad and somebody who's quickly, for example, our breakup video there, our breakup campaign, Natalie just tore that sheet saying that, hey, I'm breaking up with you. That message was super engaging, although it was completely irrelevant to me selling software. It caught people's attention.
Hey, sorry, do you have a question?
Yeah. No, I was just to say, no, it was totally engaging because it touched on, like you said earlier, I hate email with a passion.
Yeah.
And I want to fun. Like that.
Yeah, and email is again going away. People share those videos quite often. And then there's, like I said, there's a lot of education and information in one shot. You can tell a much more compelling story in a video. And the last part is search engines actually love video because, again, when you're building an SEO engine around it, there's a lot more content that's condensed in a video than what you would write on a landing page. And so that's why if you have a host of videos that you're running, I think Google is going to love it. So what's the recipe to make videos? You need a great studio. You need a very high-tech camera. No, you don't need any of that.
We have a question.
Yeah.
Sure.
I wanted to ask, did you see like a difference in your metrics when you had like a small video and a long video? Because you showed like the shorter video with 13 seconds clip, and then you showed at the end, which was a lot longer.
Yeah.
Was there like a difference in metrics at all, or?
So the long 90-second format was the most surprising thing that I have seen come out. I mean, we did not create that video really for Facebook. I created the 90-second format for YouTube, and I created the 90-second format to be put on one of my landing pages. That was a holistic product video that we created. It's highly emotional, and I never it was not meant for Facebook. I just happened to put it on Facebook to test it out, and it actually worked better than my 30-second. And so I was literally testing this one against my 15 and 30-second, and it does well. So it is a surprise for me. That's why I keep telling people that there's no. The magic is really in the message. The magic is really in who you target and how you, what kind of a script you write and what's the message that you're trying to deliver, and how close people resonate with it. It's not really in the length of the video or the quality of the video either. I mean, if you look at my 90-second video versus my 30-second, the 30-second is shot in a room, the 90-second is shot in like 4 or 5 different places. The quality isn't that great. but the message is amazing. So I mean, yeah, you need maybe a clean room, a DSLR, or even a phone. I mean, if you have the latest iPhone or the latest Samsung phone, I think it's got some pretty good video capabilities. The most important part is the compelling story, the value prop. If you have a team member who's really enthusiastic to be in front of the camera, I have used people from my sales team. I've used people across the company. I've used a person who's in accounting as well. She wanted to just, she raised her hand and said, I want to be a part of your video. And I'm like, okay, let's do it. And you can get a pretty cheap video editing software. Final Cut is something that you can buy for like $50. Adobe Premiere is about $200. And if you have your brand guidelines, I think those always help. So, I do text overlay over video because a lot of people have, their phones, the voice shut down. So people sometimes just want to read. And so the text overlay is there on pretty much all of my videos except the last one you saw. So this is the format. I would say still the 30 or 15 or 30 second video script is still the right format. I wouldn't try the 90 second unless it's done well. The video should be square. I think Facebook changed that to a square video, I would say about maybe 8-9 months ago. You could have a landscape video prior to that, but now it's all square. You should show a spokesperson, whether it's an influencer, whether it's someone else, but people in the video matter. It's not the product, it's the people. The script needs to drive to a conclusion. You cannot leave those videos open-ended. Majority of my videos are direct response. I mean, it's warming the audience, and I use them in retargeting as well. But at the end of the day, I'm driving towards conversions, right? That's the ultimate goal for me. And so if I don't have a conclusion, if I'm not saying that, hey, this is what my product delivers, and if you like what I'm saying, come here and do something, whether it be, learn more, whether it be subscribe, whether it be, sign up or convert. The text overlay or video, I think if you're selling a service, if you're selling software, it's best to have that. I think you have a question?
Yeah. So even though your professional video did really well, do you still more highly recommend the kind of more budget-friendly productions? Like,
Yeah.
do you continue to make videos with your agency?
I don't have the budget to spend $200,000 a month.
Okay.
on getting an agency and helping me do the video. This was one-off when we did a rebrand. I do about 5 videos a month, five new videos a month. I would rather get maybe 10 more done a month if I can. It's just that I produce them all in-house, so it's easier for me with the people I have. But I have my existing 5 or existing 15, and then I have new 5 coming out every single month. So I have an ongoing cadence of videos.
So how do your team generate the ideas for the video? Because I know that when you brainstorm, actually there's a lot of ideas, but how you choose the ideas that you think is gonna work well?
I go with a certain campaign theme. So I said, well, one of them was the breakup with the campaign. If it's a holiday season, then I choose a holiday theme. If it's a feature that's coming up, I mean, we come up with 1 or 2 new features every month, every other month. Then the theme is centered around, the benefits of the feature or the pain points that it's going to address. And so I take sort of the overarching campaign theme, and then the positioning of the video is all around that. Writing the script, I think, literally it started about, 7, 8, 9 months ago for me when I sat down and wrote the first script. And I trained a couple of folks on my team to sort of keep on doing that. I have a copywriter now on the team that just does it. once we have a campaign and set up, the copywriter will come and write, copy for it, and then we'll use that in the video. So we've got the formula around how many words can you condense in a 15 or 30-second video, and so, but yeah, that's I would say at least a part-time job, if not a full-time.
Hi. Are you able to talk about the follow-up campaign to take these leads to customers in terms of the tools, the process?
I'll talk about the process. I mean, and then there are several tools that can do that.
Yeah.
That's my last slide, by the way.
Okay,
so I'll go
cool.
through that. What should you test? I think I've tested video against static, and I don't do any more static. I think this is I've been just doing video now. I test at least 2 videos within the same campaign. In the e-commerce world, I think it's 10, 15. I think my bad. Sorry, 2 videos within the same ad set. I should have not said campaign there, but at least I test 2 concepts at a time. So each concept might have about 5 to 10 videos each, and then test several sort of landing page actions side by side. So the landing page and the video themes are almost similar. I mean, they better be similar. They should talk the same thing. And then the action on the landing page, then I test that against, different, whether the same video with, let's say, a sign up versus a free trial versus, hey, download this or, take a demo or something like that. And then I think what I've also tested is geo-specific videos. So if not at this particular place I'm working, but in a different world, I've tested sort of messaging with video specific to a geography.
So, have you tested a vertical video versus a square video versus a horizontal video? And have you tested for especially micro videos for stories or Insta stories or Facebook stories, or what kind of conversions we get from
Facebook
stories?
Stories, no, I haven't had much success with Facebook stories, but you probably have. At least in my world, I haven't.
So horizontal video for us converts the best, which is a 768 by 1024. So that's usually the winning ad unit that I use that we can use on stories or Instagram and the news feed. Mainly because, browser resolution, when you have a 768 by 1024 video ad, it covers more space in the news feed. So they have to focus on it. So that's kind of what I would recommend.
Let me show you something that I think I probably have tried just recently, and it's worked. I hope this is the one. Okay, so these are sort of side by side. Okay, and this again, I would say I'm running them since 2 weeks ago, and they have brought down my cost per lead again quite a bit. So these are sort of 2 different types of people.
No joke. All those daily to-dos take up so much time. Not with Infusionsoft by Keap. Award-winning automation helps you take on repetitive tasks like capturing new leads, sending quotes and invoices, and keeping in touch with clients. Avoid the burnout and save 47 hours a month. Go below and learn how you can stop doing repetitive tasks. Small business burnout is no joke. All those daily to-dos take up
so. Yeah. So that's this format. I think I've started trying that. I think for the last month and a half, it's done fairly well. Yeah, and I think what I look for again, I'm most concerned about conversions to customer. But in the process of conversions to customer, there are so many other things that you want to look at. Number of leads, cost per lead, cost per customer at the end, and I'll talk about sort of the funnel that goes with it. There used to be a relevance and quality score. I think there's a quality score in Facebook, and I think there's a relevance score in AdWords, or vice versa. But that does tell you whether your ad is going to do well or not. I think if you don't have a relevance score of more than 5, I think it's not going to work out, I think. And you probably would know that in the first day or two. What drives that score? I wish I knew the whole Facebook algorithm, but I think at a minimum, what I've seen is engagement on the ad itself, and then click-through rates on your landing page. If they are quite synchronized, and if you're getting a decent click-through rate. Now, if you ask me what's the decent click-through rate, my ad click-through rate, frankly, from my impressions to clicks, I'm getting probably around 1.5-2%. But on my clicks to landing page views, I think so. Let's say my cost per click is around $2.5 to $3. My cost per landing page view is about $4. About roughly about 50% of the people who click actually end up on my landing page.
The relevancy score? Yeah, for e-commerce stuff, since my videos are a little bit more engaging, they have a higher CTR. And in terms of relevance score, it's usually based off of your, as Mihir said, your ad, your CTR, and also like your page performance. Like 7 to 9. Yeah. Well, it depends. If I'm running like affiliate products, then it's like a 3, but it's usually like a very clickbait image. I get like a 1 cent CPC, but then they deprioritize my ad as well. So, yeah. Right, exactly.
All right. So this is sort of the funnel I use, and again, I've made it super simple, but it's not as simple as it looks, I would say. But the Facebook leads that I usually get, I think the very first step is they become sort of a marketing qualified lead. They fill in a form where we ask about 4 or 5 different questions. If those questions are answered well, I pass them through a lead scoring model, and they become marketing qualified. Not all marketing qualified leads convert to what I call sales qualified leads. And so what I do there is I have an email nurture program for those MQLs to convert them into sales qualified leads. They might be qualified to buy the product, but they are not hand raisers yet, so they haven't decided they want it or not. Those who have decided they want it, they become sales qualified leads, and the sales guys engage with them and sell them the product. But again, then there are people who don't necessarily understand the value proposition, don't understand whether the price makes sense or not, and so have another nurture stream for sales qualified leads, which eventually converts them into customers. So what I do there is have discounts. I have customer testimonials. I would probably have a buy now button, give them an immediate checkout process in that nurture stream, so that they've already understood the proposition for the product. They've already talked to somebody in sales. All they have to do is get a good rate for the product and buy it. With those customers come back to me. I build custom audiences back on that. Those customers build lookalike audiences again, throw them into my ads, and sort of that is an ongoing process. It looks super simple, but it's not. I sell about 2 products and 5 bundles each for each of those products. So there's a decent amount of segmentation in each part of this process, there will be about several different lookalike audiences depending on whether they are cold, whether they are lukewarm, whether they are hot, whether they are super hot, and so on. So, but this is sort of the generic process. You should have that, especially if you're running a SaaS business, or even if you're running a consumer business. If you don't have email marketing engine behind the scenes taking care of re-nurturing your leads and putting them back into the funnel, then you're losing on a lot of customers. So that's I think necessary. The nurture stream is not just email. I use a combination of SMS, email. One of the things that I'm experimenting with is, and you pointed out that nobody responds to emails these days. So we have tried to embed chat into email. And so when you get your email on your phone, instead of responding back to email, I have a link there for WhatsApp or Facebook Messenger, and you can directly chat with me through the email window itself. Now it's not native yet, but that's one thing that I'm trying to build.
Sorry, hold on one second.
So
What's
SMS
your conversion rate differences between email, SMS, and chat?
SMS is used sort of at the very last stage of the funnel, where those leads are definitely hot but not ready to buy. And there I use SMS to engage them with offers of all sorts, and buy now buttons, offers. I mean, you get an SMS on your phone with a link saying that, hey, here's a link to our buy now page and go and buy now, or here's a link for a phone number, just call me. And
What's the percentage of
success on SMS is the highest, I would say. Percentage success, the funnel gets smaller. So for example, I every month I probably send an SMS to about roughly 2,000 people. I get about 150 customers through those 2,000, but they are super hot, right? That's 7 or 8% conversion is because they are pretty hot in the funnel. What's that? Start with SMS, yeah. And so I use SMS at the top of the funnel to set up an appointment or set up a call, as opposed to give them a discount. Because, price is not what we are selling on. If I start with a price discount, then I'm facilitating the wrong.
No, we don't do prices for CTA.
Sorry, he's got a question.
Oh, okay.
So are you using Infusionsoft to run that? All that stuff?
No, I don't, because my database is too big now. I think Infusionsoft has, I won't say there's a limit, frankly, but
it's meant for SMB.
Yeah, well, it's I can build a CRM with about 500,000 contacts, and in Infusionsoft I have a lot more.
So
I have a few million.
Marketo?
So I use Marketo and Salesforce.
Okay, what about the texting and stuff? Is it all through Marketo?
My landing pages are, the forms on my landing pages are Marketo forms. I use another CMS to create landing pages. And then on the analytics side, I have Google Analytics 360, but don't need 360. Yeah, you can get some cheaper tools out there. You can get Amplitude or Segment, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I have Drift on my chat side, but we've built an AI engine behind Drift. So Drift doesn't give you an AI bot. Drift will give you a bot, and you have to build your own playbooks.
Mm-hmm.
But we took about 50,000 conversations and built a machine learning algorithm behind the scenes, and
wow.
To the point that that bot can actually convert somebody into a sale.
Wow.
So prior to having the bot, my website conversion rate was close to about 2.5%. With the bot in place, it's around 4%. So that's a decent amount of lift that I get. And so bots help. I think chatbots are absolute necessity right now, I would say. Anyone else?
Is that your last slide?
That is my last slide.
Okay. All right. Cool. Great. Thank you. We had our last talk was actually quite a bit on MQL to SQL conversion. So, and we have it recorded, so feel free to check it out. It's on our new YouTube channel. It's on Facebook. Okay, great. Any more questions for Mihir? He's been answering them a lot as he goes along, but
sure.
Do you have any self-serve channels for Keap, or all of it is eventually sales?
I have the ability to have a consumer directly buy without going through a sales channel. So without going through anybody in sales. See, I think the cheapest product I sell is worth around, $60 a month, and it tips the scale when it comes to making a decision. If it was a $40-$50 product, as you pointed out, yes, I think you can easily do a buy now and say, well, you make a decision now without actually going through any funnel whatsoever. But since it tips the scale, I think I've experimented with it. I think it works for the cheaper product. On the other side, we have an expensive product that's probably, that starts at around $200-$300 a month. And so for that, we definitely need a sales team.
Makes sense.
All right.
Obviously, you care about how many views you got on your Facebook ads. Do you care about like how many likes, how many shares you get? Because it indicates, it will say a lot about engagement.
Yeah, it does. I do care, but not as much, as long as they work through the funnel. That's not the metric I measure my success against. That's for sure. I spend I have a small budget around brand awareness. I would rather have YouTube to do that work for me. Facebook is not really the place for me to spend money on awareness and just get likes. And
have you ever tried retargeting people by personal pages or company pages that are actually personal pages?
Yeah, not that, but what I do is, and I think you probably have used something like this. There's a company called Clearbit. I don't know if you've heard of them. You have, okay. And so, and there's a friend of mine who runs a company called Mutiny.
She was our speaker last month.
Oh,
so yeah, Jale. So we have that recorded.
Yeah, so cool. Yeah.
That whole conversation. Yeah.
So Jale piloted Mutiny with me I was one of her first customers. And what that tool does is personalization. It takes Clearbit data. It identifies who you are, what vertical you are, especially in the B2B world. And, you can easily figure out, you can make your landing page highly customizable. And so let's say I'm sending somebody using a search ad or a Facebook ad, and they end up on the site, and I don't want to creep people out by calling their name. I know I could probably find out their name, but I don't want to creep people out, but at least I know where they're coming from, what business they are, what vertical they are, and I put all of those features in the landing page. And so, yeah. Yes.
So I was wondering, how does that work? Is that like dynamic text replacement or like?
Yeah, so it's part of your landing page copy that you essentially replace with some dynamic keywords. So the keyword would be your first name or your company name or the vertical that you belong to. It's pretty straightforward. Have you used Optimizely?
I have.
Any other?
I haven't used it, but I know about
any other
it.
testing tool, right?
Yeah.
I think essentially it's taking, basically it's a string that you can text string that you can replace within, let's say, your landing page copy.
Okay. Are you able to change out stuff other than just text? Can you personalize content,
you can personalize
layout?
Images. I can personalize images. I can personalize videos. I can throw in a video that's more relevant to that particular vertical. But then I have to, in the back end, I do have to build a small database with all of those combinations. In the sense, if this is the vertical, let's show this image or this video or this ad. So, but it can be done.
Okay, I want to talk to you after this.
You don't necessarily need Mutiny. You can build your own stack around it. We first use Mutiny and then we build our own stack.
Yeah, Mutiny was our talk from last month, and we have the video for the whole talk. Skip card. Yeah.
Hi. If you were starting again from scratch, and let's say you had $10,000 a month to spend,
okay,
and
that's
you
a lot of money.
$5,000 then.
That's still a good amount of money.
$2,500. and you were targeting small business owners
Yeah.
on Facebook, how would you go about that?
So I wouldn't, first of all, I wouldn't have the luxury of building a lookalike or a custom audience. And I would then go with what David did is figure out who are the folks who are engaging and get that engagement going first. Then take that audience, build further lookalikes, create the cold into warm, into lukewarm, and so on. But in the B2B world, the $5,000 doesn't go too far. In the consumer world, it goes further than anything else. I mean, I was consulting with a consumer bank, or rather a startup who's in the consumer banking, and my goal was to get a lead for 50 cents. That was the target that the founder had set for me. It's like, hey, Mihir, I want a lead for 50 cents. The sign up is worth $10 to me. I want a ROS of 20. And I'm like, that's crazy, but let's start. And so I had a budget of about $2,000 and per month, and we ended up getting about 120,000 signups at a pretty cheap rate. The formula was again the same. I think I was doing cost per click, but then the ads were super engaging. I was able to get a click for about $1.50 to start with, and then optimizing on static ads. And I was just doing static ads, by the way. It was dynamic testing on static ads. And I was able to bring it down to about 69, 70 cents. I could never hit that 50 cent target, but it was still worth it. But in the B2B world, I would probably start with engagement, see what really clicks. Video is expensive, is an expensive tool. It does the job if it's done well. If it's not done well, it can basically ruin your campaign.
Would you still do a large volume of ads, even though you've got limited spend?
With a $5,000 budget, not really. I think I would probably experiment. What do you think, David? I think with a $5,000 budget, how many video ads would you do? Probably about 5 or 6, maybe.
Yeah, mainly. So I would exactly what you're saying. For $5,000 for a B2B, if you have competitors, right? Like, right, 1,000, right? So what I usually do is, and now this is against Facebook's terms and conditions, but you can scrape other fan pages where your demographic is that follows. Like, for example, competitor pages, other SaaS products that they might use, and then you can build custom audiences off of that, and then run your video ads to them. And usually, you can still get around it. Yeah, if you.
What are you selling? I think so. There's
a good question.
There's a company called Galvanize. I don't know if you've heard of them. You heard of Galvanize? Galvanize. So I have a subscription to Galvanize. It's around $35,000 a year. I would probably invest in that. The reason for that, I would tell you, is that I could go and download my competitor's entire list of customers for that $35,000 subscription. Take that list, build a custom audience, build a lookalike, and hit it.
Where would you scrape that from? From Facebook?
They've already done the scraping. You don't have to worry about
so
it.
you just point it to like a Facebook page or something, and then it just collects.
They've already done all the work.
Datanize.
Now, if you can build a scraper to scrape Datanize for free, that would be awesome. which I did in my previous startup, and scraped the hell out of Datanize. Created a list of about 25 million small businesses. Sold that business to another business. So it was a scraping business. All right.
We're getting into the top secret tactics here.
I think a lot of people are using it. I don't think it's super secret. I think the execution is the key. I don't think the formulas are the formulas are out there. I think it's how you do it.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. Let's say hypothetically you had a database of kind of all the companies that you knew were involved in the technology that you were selling into.
Uh-huh.
and like what would you do with that data? Like what would be the next like 2 or 3 steps? So I know the companies that are actively involved in doing the thing that I'm trying to sell to, but a lot of times they're very large companies, so I'm trying to find the developers in those companies.
Mm-hmm.
But like if you had that base data, what were the next 2 or 3 steps that you would take?
So I think if you're targeting a specific person in a company, I probably don't think Facebook would do the job for you. I might be wrong here, but I think what I've had high success with on Facebook is SMBs. In the enterprise world, you're looking at, let's say, the CTO or the director of engineering or the VP of engineering or whoever it is. LinkedIn is probably a better source, or literally cold email. I think, have you tried cold email? Cold email needs, Mechanical Turk. Have you used Mechanical Turk? Cold email, getting.
Yeah, so cold email success rate. So if you're you should, so you want to use a different ESPs, so different email service providers, because there's going to give you a better inboxing rate into Google. There's usually like a flow to get your emails into the inbox versus like promotion or spam. Because these are, I assume, like data brokered, right? Right. And so how did you get the data? Let's just hypothetically say. Understood.
Hypothetically, if you have a project on GitHub, you can look at the activity and match that to the companies that they work for. Now, if you email those people directly, most of those people are savvy enough to have an email that's different from their work email or that's unique to GitHub. So if you do that, like bad things, like you get complaints and
like
it's not a viable path.
Right.
And it's like against GitHub's rules, and ethically I'm not saying that. But I know what I can match the companies, and so it's a pool of data that I haven't worked with yet. So it's one that I know that I have.
So do you have their emails by any chance, or you said you just have company?
The emails that they use that are specific to that service.
Understood.
Oftentimes, like if they get anything other than GitHub notifications on that, they go nuts.
They're gonna go get mad, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I think you mentioned this in the previous thing. So you could just like custom audience them to a messenger campaign, so that way they're opted into your messenger funnel. Yeah. If you want to use ManyChat, that way if they like the ad, they'll click and then you can message them.
Interesting. All right.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a nice idea. Cool.
All right.
Lots of great questions.